Shall we get into it?
Press the button.
I have a feeling this is not doing what we are supposed to do.
Okay.
It's not. I could tell it was a different color.
Okay.
Oh, wait!
Oh my gosh, you cannot be talking like that the whole episode. There we go.
Did it change your voice?
It changed her voice to like a villain, like
now you just sitting there and had no like.
She doesn't have the headphones.
My God.
Oh my God, we have to get you headphones. Do.
Hey, Vanessa, scooch in a little bit more.
Scooch, gather in.
Oh, okay, we in.
All right.
We in there, like swimwear. Okay, this theme song is too long, and I pressed 2 buttons at once.
Well, I mean, they're probably clapping because they see that we have a guest today.
Woohoo!
Hey, guys.
All right, everybody, say it. We're so awkward. This is our first guest, guys. Our first guest.
I'm honored and very excited.
So, Sylvia, would you like to introduce Alexis?
Well, I feel like we should all introduce ourselves because only Alexis knows how great
Is this the second time I've forgotten to introduce myself on this show?
Yeah, we also
Don't they
forgot to
know you
like
by
say
now?
like
I mean-
welcome to and
Oops.
no, it's not fun.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
There it is.
What a genuine start to our show. I love it.
Always
All right.
genuine.
Miss Vanessa, would you like to go first?
I am Vanessa Mans at Mind of Vans on Instagrams and some other social medias too. So there you go. Am I right?
Yeah,
this
this
is right.
Alexis.
Hey, guys. My name is Alexis Christie. That's really it. You can find me at www.alexischristie.com. I am a human design self-development coach and a master of all trades. So that's me.
And folks, I am Sylvia from Maiden of the Forest, your local tarot reader, also energy alchemist. I am also based out of Tea and Tarot. You can always find me at Maiden of the Forest Tarot _ in between each one on Instagram. You can also see my link on pages there if you want to ever book a reading or session.
I feel like I need something else to do.
I'm sorry, it's just my intro is long.
That was great. I'm always like, yeah, it's me. Hi, it's just me. I also have a podcast.
You should
guys
tell
could check
us
out.
about it.
It's called Life Talks with Lex, and it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And it's just about the human experience and all of life's conditions. So
I personally listen to that podcast, especially like doing chores around the house. And man, it's an empowering podcast. It kind of like makes you want to go deep dive into yourself as a person. Very good introspective work there. And also, you know, you feel everything she says with passion there because she says it with a lot of passion. She's a fire sign. So
through and through. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I do love me a good fire sign. I feel like all of my best friends have always been fire signs. Usually Saggies.
I'm a Sag. Yeah.
We both water. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm not saying all of my besties. I'm saying a lot of them. Anywho.
Moving on. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. So, what are we doing today? Y'all,
this packet.
I made notes. I made lots and lots of notes. Some ASMR for y'all. So I don't know if we talked about this last time, but we decided to do a little bit of a deep dive into Carol Dweck and growth versus fixed mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis, you said you know quite a bit about this, it kind of comes up in your human design coaching, right?
100%. It's probably my favorite topic to cover when I'm doing any sort of work with like coaching clients, human design clients. Spent some time working in recovery, do a lot of that there as well. It's kind of the cornerstone for change and transformation. So
I love it. I learned a lot about this when I learned about it in my psychology classes before I got into teaching, but then especially in teaching early childhood, this comes up a lot, especially in the Reggio Emilia programs that I worked at. Um, they really preach having a growth mindset and letting the child be their whole self. So it came up a lot for me, and it's something that I keep in mind a lot for myself when I find myself sometimes falling back into a fixed mindset over a problem. So, Sylvia, did you have any idea about this before, or is this something that ever came up for you?
This is something I looked into about 2 hours ago.
That's genuine.
Listen, I did research.
but-
I did the research. I was like, okay, this is the topic. Let's see what it's about. And I was like, oh, okay.
I forgot my book.
And I got into it a little bit. And I was like, okay, I can see some stuff here. And yeah, I can see some stuff there. But it's so funny because I'm like, oh, well, I did that already.
Like doing the growth.
Like I've already okay, here's the thing, okay? My father made me read this book at like 6 years old called Think Big, Grow Rich. Okay. And apparently I didn't know this at the time because I didn't know who Abraham Hicks was, but that's her husband. And I listened to her all the time. And then I found out that her husband's the one that read Think Big, Grow Rich. Now, for a kid that want a huge imagination, that's not a great book to read. However, it did change my mindset on how I perceive things, how I grow internally. And at a age of 6 years old, you're like, what? Like, that's mind-boggling when you're 6 years old. Like, okay, think of the things I want to attract, not the things I don't want to attract. Think of how things will become rather than staying stuck in a mindset where it just brings you down.
Right.
And it was always moving forward and being pushed forward and understanding that failure is not failure. Failure just means not yet.
Right.
And that was a big one for
words.
Absolutely.
The not yet the whole not yet concept.
Yeah. And then just for listeners or viewers out there who are not familiar with the concept, Carol Dweck, she did some research with preschoolers, actually, I think originally, about how their kind of mindset, like they have fixed or growth mindset, and how they approach success and failures, how they approach challenges. She found that there are children who won't even try like doing a puzzle because, they want to be successful. So they really just don't want to fail. There's other children that she would give they would ask for more challenging puzzles every time that every time she presented them with an opportunity. So those were the ones that she saw had growth mindset.
It was like that failure of like, okay, if I can't achieve and make it, then why will I do it?
Exactly. Exactly. And I definitely had been there for a while. But I asked you guys to watch a couple of movies because I thought that they related to mindset. And the first one that I think we all watched was Inside Out, both Inside Out movies. So what did you guys think?
Love it. I love the homework.
I love that you love homework. I hated homework as a child.
The homework is fun. It's Disney movies.
Yeah.
True that.
Probably the best homework we could have as adults right now.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I loved these movies as a psych major, just like getting the emotional inside your brain. It was so fascinating to me. But rewatching it again with the idea of mindset,
with this in mind, it was a whole new
absolutely different experience. So what did you guys experience?
I'll tell you what I got from Inside Out was the huge takeaway about having both joy and sadness. You have to hold space for both.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that a lot of times, especially like in this weird like affirmation culture that we live in now, right?
Yeah.
I love an affirmation just as much as everybody else, but
Same.
I know the slope of affirmations, the slippery slope is this idea of like belief management, right? Like you use an affirmation to combat a thought that you have that's negative or it's fixed.
Right.
But it's not really realistic and it's not sustainable. And so what I love that the movie did was just hold space for both that sadness and joy, and they worked together to really like create that holistic like evolution
Absolutely.
of of the main character, because that's when I do belief work with people, and we talk about like reframing beliefs, right? Not managing beliefs or managing mindset. We always take a statement that's closed and we open it.
Mm-hmm.
So, the thought of I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the same statement of I'm open to the possibility of learning
Absolutely.
and growth doesn't discredit I don't want to fail, right?
Absolutely.
It still holds space for that very real fear
Mm-hmm.
of like, this is the possibility of what could happen, and holy shit, it's scary, but it acknowledges it and it holds space for that. And this is true. I'm open to the possibility of learning and growing. And so I think that's key when we're talking about growth mindset is just the language.
Yeah.
That keeps us open to possibility. You know?
Absolutely. So my question too was with happiness, joy and sadness. Do we feel like Joy had a fixed mindset? Do we feel like she developed a growth mindset?
I think she originally had the fixed mindset and she grew to have the growth mindset, which is, I believe, possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Throughout experiences and the things that you experience and learn through.
100%. I do feel like in Inside Out 2, she backslid. Like when anxiety came back, you could see that she
tried to take control again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then anxiety had the same issue.
Oh, anxiety was super fixed mindset. But I feel like, I think that anxiety, I noticed also is very like ADHD coded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm wondering if a lot of ADHD do have a fixed mindset because a lot of us have that comorbidity with anxiety. Like you do have struggle with like the perfectionism. We struggle with like having anxiety and depression, and all of like even depression was kind of fixed mindset. Hers was kind of a learned fixed mindset, I feel like, because of how Joy was at the beginning, kind of like always blocked her from controlling the console. But
in the first one.
But
and like not touching memories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you heard her say, "What's wrong with me? I don't know why I'm like this." Like that's classic. Like I think that's right out of the book of a fixed mindset. So that's where I feel like she definitely had one, and she started to grow. Also, she started to recognize where she was worthy, but it took a little bit of time.
I think you're cutting out a little bit, by the way.
I am a little bit. I kind of hear it.
Okay.
It's okay. We'll just make it work.
We're working it, people.
We're gonna
First time having a guest.
We're going to make it work, and hopefully Anthony can do some things with sound.
Not if the mic doesn't pick it up.
Pick it up.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
You know what? I just thought about it though too. The camera pick up our sound as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So he might just it'll be weird, but
that's a good point.
Anthony's probably like, why do I have 3 different camera angles?
Oh, he's gonna love me so much. Like you just keep doing more and more and more.
So I do want to say something, and it's not exactly pertaining towards the homework, but with Inside Out in general. I want to say that was one of the most genius ideas, because all of the different emotions, especially with children, but also in adults. And you know what actually struck me, interestingly enough, was who was the leader of the board, because the kid had joy, right? The mother had sadness, and the father had anger.
Yeah. And that
was intriguing.
Yeah. That I have a note about it.
I know. I always mess up your whole thing because I'm always like 3 steps ahead of you.
I'm glad you brought it up because I almost forgot about it.
But then also the evolution, and again, the evolution of the emotions when you go from being a child and then going into puberty. And it's like the evolution of emotions continue to evolve as you get older. And so you kind of get that glimpse of with the mother and the father. And sometimes it's like a default, right? Like the default emotion is almost like the one that leads us, because it's not fear that drives a woman, right? It's the sadness that drives the fear in women.
See, but
Yes.
what I was seeing is that as much as it's the juxtaposition, if you will, that while Joy is trying to block sadness or Riley from feeling sadness, she doesn't see the value that she has in that. But with Mom, she actually has sadness leading her. And as she evolves, that sadness becomes empathy. She's able to, oh, is that still picking?
Maybe. I just figured it could
Oh,
go
yeah,
that
you
way too.
never did unplug it. Oh, well.
It also might still be in the frame.
No.
Look at
Okay.
that. Anywho, but yeah, so I noticed that with Mom, her sadness evolves into not just depression, it's empathy. And so we see how she has more of a growth mindset, whereas Dad, who leads with his anger, has a bit more of a fixed mindset. And so it made me think about how whichever emotion you're leading with might also influence your mindset.
Yeah. And it's just amazing to like see like, okay, which one's going to take the control, because sometimes we have that inner dialect of like, okay, I'm immediately feeling this feeling. But when you do a lot of like spiritual work, or you do a lot of therapy, right? You're kind of like, not that you're forced to do this, but sometimes when you immediately feel the feeling of, say, anger, for me, I have to take a moment intellectually and think, okay, why am I feeling this anger? What is the stressor here? What is happening here? Before I even say anything to anybody, before I even try to make a face, which I can't really control sometimes, but I'm just like, what is that root? What is the root? I always have to think, what is the root? What is the root? Because it's like the control board is anger, and it's in there. It's got both levers up, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, hold on. What is this? Is this coming from a place of fear? Is this coming from a place of sadness? Is this coming from a place from my past? And then I calm down because I realize the root of everything. And then I go, okay, how can I communicate this to this person if I don't like being talked to in this way? Or I felt like I was being unappreciated, or this was something from my past, and how do I approach this in a way where I can get understanding and healing? So it really is just a fantastic genius idea that these writers did. Amazing job. Amazing job.
Absolutely. Alexis, got anything to add?
No, I just as you were talking, Sylvia, I was thinking both about how it's the awareness piece, right? Like emotions are gonna kick in.
Oh,
that's how we're designed, right? We're designed to feel. We're designed to sense. Designed to perceive, and those things kind of happen automatically. We don't even control them. But then, the awareness piece kicks in, and if we can do that, right? Like if we can tune in to, hey, I'm pissed off right now, or like I'm so depressed, or whatever the emotion is, and understand that emotions are just information, right? I call them invitations. They're always an invitation to explore something deeper, or to look at something in a different way, or to look at yourself in a different way, to learn, to grow. Everything in life is about growth and like evolution. Like that's our mandate as people, as human beings in this experience. So I was thinking about that. And I was also thinking about sometimes the root, understanding the root is just enough to, it's enough to piss you off.
I was going to say, put you over the edge,
it's
man.
enough to be like, okay, I know where this is coming from, but God damn it, like, what do I do with this? How do I get through this, And also in that realm, I feel like there's such a pressure for us to do something about it, right? Like in Inside Out, you see Joy just like wanting to control the narrative and like overtake everything, because like that's what Joy does.
All the bad feelings.
Yes. And she just wants joy to permeate, and which is beautiful, right? But we know that it's not realistic, and that we need that full range and that full scope of emotion to really experience a deeper level of joy and a deeper level of ourselves, and to grow.
I think that's what we learn at the end of the first movie, where they finally just let sadness Gosh, I feel like I'm gonna start crying. This happens every week.
It was covering your face.
Oh no.
Me?
No, her.
Oh.
It's okay. Get all my shots from this camera. But yeah, we see that they finally let sadness take control because Riley needed to just sit with the sad thoughts.
Yeah.
She didn't need to do anything with it. She
Yeah.
just needed to sit with it and
Right.
feel it and just let it out. And sometimes that's just what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And what Joy learned, what I thought was a beautiful thing, is that kind of that yin yang thing. You can't know joy if you don't know sadness. And Joy learned that she becomes more valuable to Riley when she does let go of the control every once in a while.
Yeah.
So I love that about that movie as well.
Mm.
It's like several
Can
points.
we talk about how certain parts of you in the past do die? Bing bong.
Bing bong, bing bong. Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
because it made me remember actually when I decided to not have my invisible friend anymore, I put her literally, I imagined a vault in my mind and put her in a box in a vault. And I do that to like people when I decide to be done with them. I'm like, I need to cut emotional ties to this person or this thing. And I'm putting it in a box and I'm putting it in a vault and it's gonna be gone.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has a subconscious way and a conscious way
Oh, absolutely.
of getting rid of these either memories or trauma or people in general. And I mean, Bing Bong just like graciously left. You know, he helped Joy get over that cliff. What again, tears. If I was crying, I'd be crying a bunch of candy pieces. You know, just like Bing Bong. But you know, like even with me, like things or people that I've had to, you know, get over or stop or put in a back of my mind, what ends up happening is subconsciously, and I'm so sorry for some of those people that are no longer around, subconsciously sometimes I kill them in my dreams. I'm so sorry, but like I smashed some people's skulls. Oh, I should have said disclaimer. Disclaimer. It got a little violent, but like sometimes it gets violent. Sometimes it's more of an ease thing, and sometimes I'll just have dreams of them never talking to me or ignoring me, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, and I move on with my life in my dreams. So subconsciously, we all have a thing where we have an ego death.
I've done where there was a relationship that was very toxic for me, but it was very hard for me to let go of. I had to, in my mind, burn the bridge, and in reality, left everything they ever gave me on their doorstep at 2:00 in the morning like a crazy person.
Sometimes we also have to physically actually burn things.
Except for the TV. I still have that.
It's
That's
like,
what I
this
watch
is
all these
useful
movies
to
on.
me.
But anyway.
You guys are an inspiration. This is how I'm going out next time.
Like I love friends that have bonfires. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna bring some stuff, by the way.
Let me know when that happens next time.
I have to say, I have never burned anything. Like, I have never thrown something in a fire.
T-shirts from old jobs. Favorite thing to burn.
Yeah.
Or uniforms,
I have some
whatever.
of those. I could do that. Yeah. I don't know. I have this really weird. I hold a lot of space for like memories. Like it's weird, right? Because this is a concept that I try to explain to people that people are like fucking insane. But I love to cycle through nostalgia, right? And I don't know what I did there, but I love to cycle through nostalgia so much so that like I still like cherish times during my life that were terrible, right? But they had a certain element to them, like a certain feeling, a certain novelty, that sometimes I like go back in the time machine and I'll go and I'll read old things I wrote during that time. Or
I've done that recently.
Or like I will, you know, I'll just take things out of the vault. I'll look at old pictures from that time and then I'll like reimagine that feeling because a piece of it brings me comfort, even though it probably wasn't like the best time all around in my life. You know, there might have even been some trauma involved, but over the years, somehow I have this weird gratitude and like
I love that.
respect for holding space for those things, but not in a way that's like detrimental to.
I think that goes back to saying that you need sadness to feel the joy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, I totally get that. There's definitely like, I think we all kind of go through that. Like, I
Mhm.
recently found a song that I wrote, I don't know how many years ago, probably over a decade ago.
Mm.
And listening back to it, I was like, damn, I'm a good songwriter.
Yeah,
Like, what was
yeah.
I? And I sat back with those feelings. I sat and remembered what I was going through with the
Mhm.
person. Funny enough, the song is about a person that I kind of put in the vault.
Mm.
And then I had a dream about them.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole song is about, I thought I forgot about you, but here you come in my dreams and like brought up all those old feelings
Wow.
again. And now I'm stronger, but it made
Yeah.
me more resilient. And even
Yes.
though it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, it helped me grow.
Yeah. Can I say too? I went off on a total tangent there,
We
but
always do
you
that.
were
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about Bing Bong,
Bing bong, bing bong.
and the way that I saw that in the movie as well was just our ability to channel imagination and possibility and abstract thought.
I love
Oh,
that.
yeah, the
Because
train.
as we
I love the thought train period.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
as we age, we know that goes out the window. Like it becomes
Except for
so
me.
it becomes but like think about it. Think about how as we age, right?
Sylvia's giving me looks.
Like when we're young, we rely on that imagination
For sure.
to like create all these fun worlds and characters and like cultivate joy for us, right? And as we get older, we're just like, this is the way the world is. We can't see the forest through the trees because that imagination has been so tarnished and
Absolutely.
tainted by like all the experiences that we pile on top of them.
Sure.
So
But I still have
I have
a
a huge imagination.
That's part of why this show exists.
yeah, no.
And
Maybe
I
would
definitely
you
I still have
actually,
imaginary boyfriends.
Is this something that is a neurotypical versus a neuro?
I believe Riley is so neurodiverse.
Well, no, I'm saying like the whole imagination thing.
Oh.
Does it go out the window with someone who is neurotypical versus someone who is
I think it's
neurodivergent?
I feel like probably with neurotypicals, it goes out the window much sooner. Whereas with neurodivergence, I think it tends to linger. And I think it
Mhm.
also is shaped by your real world experiences
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, some people go through some horrible experiences and will probably like, that kills their imagination.
Yeah.
There are others that retreat into their imagination with every poor experience that they go through.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
a lot of times people that have trauma or undergo specific types of trauma, what they do is they completely escape where they are.
Mhm.
So they're
Yep.
not in that space so
Yeah.
that whatever's happening to them is not happening to them. And so they go to a specific space. So some of them would actually, you might say that those that have trauma or
Use, like,
neurodivergent have that escapism and
dissociation.
and dissociation, and they're easily more imaginative
Mhm.
rather than less imaginative, especially
Also,
as they
can't
continue
stay
to
on a
grow.
single thought train.
No, Alexis just sandwiched between us, man.
I think we got through most of Inside Out. I think we're good. And Inside Out too. I will say that anxiety.
Anxiety gave me anxiety.
Anxiety definitely brought up my own anxiety.
Thank
but
you.
because I love the way that they showed her spinning out of control. And then when Joy went in, she was actually frozen because that's the ADHD paralysis that I think so many of us feel all the time.
Yeah. Especially when you have so many things going on. You're like, okay, I have to do this,
Yep,
this, and this. I got to get out of the house in 10 minutes. I got to make breakfast. I got to do this. And you're just like, wait, hold on. What the fuck am I doing?
And you can't see
Oh,
what's
I
in
said
front
that
of you.
for-
And then you end up doing absolutely nothing. You have so many things to do that you end up doing nothing because you don't know where to start.
Mhm.
And that is what an ADHD brain is like all the time. And so I think that it gave a visual for the ADHD paralysis that only people with ADHD or neurodivergent conditions truly understand.
Mhm.
And it actually gave me language for my neurodivergent child when I can see that he's starting to spin out of control. I'm like, honey, is your anxiety monster spinning right now? and he knows to say the same thing. He can say the same thing to me, or I can say that. Like, he's talking to me, but I can't give him the focus that he needs. I'm saying, listen, my anxiety monster is spinning a little bit right now. So I just need a few moments of quiet.
Yeah.
And he understands that.
Yeah.
The beauty of a Disney.
Literally, this is why I analyze them.
So I'm someone, when I do tarot, right, I'm also giving tools. And so I kind of call myself over at Teen Tarot the person that does tarot and tools. And so what I do is I give people tools for their anxiety, tools to sleep better, tools to learn how to relax and not have that worry while you're relaxing. Because when you're relaxing and you're worrying, you're not relaxing. You're just still stressing your body. You're just sitting there, like us. So when the spinning out of control goes, right? Like I've got 10 minutes to do stuff. I'm in the middle of something and I just find myself pause, not doing anything. I'm like, do one thing. I will literally say, just do one thing. What's one thing? What's one thing? And immediately I'm like, oh, breakfast, toast. And then I just start over again. So that's one tool of just saying to yourself, just do one. You don't have to do all, just do one. See how you feel after that one. And then when you're done with that one, if you have the energy to do that other one, do another one.
Yeah, I have a good tool for that as well, which is Danny Donovan wrote ADHD planner, or an anti-planner is actually called. So she's somebody that has ADHD, and she wrote this for ADHD people, and she has all kinds of like games and things to play. So sometimes I use that as my tool. I'll have to bring that next time because like it's amazing and it has absolutely changed my life. So,
and then as the spinning out thing, like and I mean this with like negative thoughts, okay, folks. So if you're spinning out with negative thoughts, if you have a negative spiral kind of going down and you're going down this tornado of negative thoughts, I always tell people, imagine a stop sign. Especially if you have the imaginary portion in the brain, right? If you can imagine a stop sign and also physically and verbally out loud just say stop and picture that stop sign and then start to counter these thoughts. So if you are picking on yourself, like if you are picking at your body and you're like, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not thick enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this. You can literally just say, okay, stop. Picture that stop sign. And then you can think about the things that you do like about yourself. Like, oh, I have pretty eyes. I have really nice hair. And then those things start to become gratitude. And then you start going in deeper and you're like, I have a good heart. I'm a good person. And like Riley, I'm a good person. It was a sense of self. And so reminding you about the better things to climb out of those spinning thoughts of negativity. And you can even do things that you are just grateful for when you're angry. I have 2 eyes. I have air in my lungs. I have the ability to use my lungs. I have both kidneys. Even if it starts off small, you'll realize it gets bigger and bigger as it grows more and more. And then all of a sudden, instead of this anger that you're holding on to, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to have everything that I have. I'm so blessed to have everything that I have and the people that I have in my life.
Yeah.
So those are some tools, folks.
Yeah. And then you brought up the sense of self. That was another thing that I really enjoyed about the movie because as a preschool teacher, that was one of the milestone developments that I really focus on for social emotional learning, is how children develop their sense of self. I know a lot of teachers try to focus on getting kids to do things the right way and learning these specific things. You got to learn all your ABCs. I'm like, let's just learn A. Like, let's just learn a letter. Yeah. You know what I mean? I remember always telling my kids it's about progress, not perfection. Yeah. When they started, like, I definitely saw 4 and 5-year-olds with fixed mindsets. They wanted perfection, and it's not about that. It's about progress.
And that also brings you back to your theories here of, you know what, not yet.
Not yet.
You don't have it just yet, but you'll get it.
And I tell my son,
and that inspires them to want to do more.
Yeah. Right.
And then it also goes back into the other person you had, George Hawthorne, something. Was it George Hawthorne? What was the person's name?
Are you talking about Gardner?
Gardner. Hey.
Howard Gardner.
Yeah, Howard Gardner. I knew it was someone with an H. Again, it was
shout out to George Hawthorne, our boy.
Whoever he is, wherever he is.
Remember, I did my research like 2 hours ago. And And that brings that to that point of the different ways
Absolutely.
of
Multiple
learning
intelligences.
and intelligence.
Yeah,
For
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about that next time. But anywho,
Real quick before we move on, I really loved that there's a moment in the movie where the sense of self gets pushed back.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
because sometimes we do lose our sense of self.
Absolutely.
That's
Like
part of
all of
growing.
these emotions have taken over, and like now you can't see, you don't
that's-
remember. Like,
Mhm.
Exactly. And I think that's essentially what puberty is
Mhm.
like you knew who you were, but now you don't. And now you have to
Exactly.
figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you do it again in adulthood.
oh my God, that happened when I turned 30.
I was gonna say
It
every
has-
10 years,
like,
dude.
it-
It's got to be
essentially.
like every 10
like
years.
once every decade.
Like, I was like, everything I knew to be true about what I
Like,
wanted and who I am.
It
is-
happened again after I had my son because like
Yes,
I lost my identity.
yes,
I
yes.
stopped being Vanessa
Oh my
and I
God.
started being Jacoby's mom.
That happens with a lot of moms.
That's like exactly, and
Almost
that's why
every mom.
like traditionally I work with women, right? Because
Mhm.
women or just anyone that identifies as
Mhm.
a woman, whatever, but we have been so we are so socialized to just step into a role,
Oh yeah.
to be a spouse, a wife, a partner,
Yeah.
a mother, so much so that it's
An
like, who the
assistant,
hell am I?
a
Like,
secretary.
and though, I mean, that's why I love working with women, especially women that are visionaries who have a vision, that have a gift, that want to go after something. And they're just like, I am so fucking clouded by the role I play here, the role I play there. I'm a full-time mom. I'm a full-time employee.
Yeah.
Like I have
tough.
anxiety. I have ADHD. Like, how do I see myself
Honestly, it's tough.
as a being? Like,
Now-
what is my essence, you know?
And to roll off of that, it's kind of like trying to find yourself, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people I run into, especially with readings, they've lost themselves
Yep.
to all of these things.
Yeah.
And I always ask the cards, like, okay, what can we do? What can my client do to step out of this? What's the
Mhm.
next step? And for some reason, it's always the same thing. It's either nostalgia or joy, leading with joy, leading
Yeah.
with things that are creative,
I
leading
love
with the things of
nostalgia.
your heart, leading with the things that will make you joy. What are you excited about? It's not about a decision of should I or shouldn't I. It's about what's going to make me happier in this moment. Between these decisions, what will make me happy? And it's about choosing joy, because so many of us had joy when we were the
Mhm.
kids,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
In Inside
Just, like,
Out.
unbridled
And then
joy.
it develops into either your anxiety monster that has more control, maybe sadness has more control because you have more empathy. But it stops,
Yeah.
as you get older, it stops kind of being joy. And it's like you have to refine that again.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I also think
yeah.
it's about making a choice,
Yeah.
right? And that's the whole debate versus growth versus fixed mindset. Is in fixed mindset, you make a choice, right? I'm not good enough.
Right.
I'm a failure. Well, there's no room for
Like, how
anything
can you
else
make room
to
for joy?
come in to counteract that thought, right? Just the language alone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm this. It's a statement.
Mhm.
There's no space. There's no openness to explore.
Yep.
And I think we just, as people, we have that tendency,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And you
it's
say something
shame, it's
enough.
guilt, it's trauma, it's sadness, it's all of these things that are like, you know what, this is who I am now. Our
Mhm.
sense of self is completely separate
And
from
if you
all
say
of those
something
emotions.
enough and you believe it enough, it becomes a belief.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
that's why I'm like, just use the right language. If
Yeah,
you use the
counter.
right language, just say, like, I welcome the possibility
And I
to
mean,
see this differently.
yes.
And I'm excited for what it brings. And
Yes.
I also would say connect it to something
Hmm.
that is equally as true for you, right? So if you're feeling a certain way about yourself, right? But on the other side of that is like starting a podcast, right? Let's just use that.
Did it.
If you're like, I don't know enough, I don't know how to
I
do
went through
this, right? And the immediate thing is to say, well, you'll learn as you go, right? But
Right.
we know that we're so adverse to like, yeah, okay, I'll learn, but I don't want to learn. That's daunting. Like, where do I start? How am I going to begin? But if you have a value or a connection that is attached to, I want to reach people. I want to reach more neurodivergent people that are looking for the tools and the connection to themselves and to navigate life, right? You want to build that space. Then just take this belief of like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know enough, right?
That's exactly what happened.
And say, I welcome the possibility to learn how to build the space that will bring neurodivergence together in community, right? It's not belief management. It's not, oh, everything is going to be great and I'm going to do it. And I have to trick my mind into believing that I can do it. It's like, no, that is equally as true for you. That is something it holds the same amount of weight as maybe like the fear of not knowing, right? And that's what I tell people is just find something that is equally true.
Yeah, it's just changing the verbiage, really. I mean, So Abraham Hicks, you know, I know your podcast did speak and touch on manifestations and how you hate it. I listened to every episode, by the way.
But I hate, but that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
I hate the blindness
of it.
Because I know it gets under people's skin.
Yes.
I know people are like,
no, and this is how you do it, right? So you just change the verbiage onto how it makes it true for you. So if you're like, oh, you know, and you have to do it immediately. She says you have to do it immediately. As soon as the thought comes of, I'm a failure, I don't know how to do this, you immediately say, hold on, I'm learning how to do this.
Right. Yeah.
And the more I learn, the more I will be able to, the more that I will be able to, the more I practice makes better. Yeah. It doesn't make perfect.
Right. Yes.
And I will get this because I am learning to do this. Right. I am still learning. And again, like the person that we were talking about earlier, it's just a not yet right now.
Absolutely.
And as far as like manifestation, like, hey, I want abundance. I am abundance. Instead of saying I am abundance or, hey, I want to win the lottery, and there's resistance. And anytime you feel resistance, you have to find a way to make it true to yourself. So instead of saying I'm going to win the lottery, you can say, you know what, universe, I could use some more money at this moment. Yeah, that's a true statement.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how more money is going to enter my experience, you know?
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I like that you brought it up because it kind of segues into the second or third movie that we did for our homework, which is The Princess and the Frog.
Yes,
we see right at the beginning, we have Charlotte who's like, I wish on the evening star. Like, if I wish on the evening star, I mean, she's like, I just gotta wish harder, you know.
She's like, please,
evening star. And then of course Prince Naveen shows up, and like she got to the point where she got Tiana to wish on a star, even though that went against everything she even believed in.
Yeah.
So I forgot where I was going with the point. It's like, but you know, I guess the point is that. What is it? Like, do you just wish? You do wish? You have to wish, and you have to balance it with effort.
It's more of really truly feeling and seeing yourself in the moment that you want to be in. If you think to yourself, okay, I'll use Abraham Hicks as an example. She goes, you're on a cruise, you're going to go to the buffet, and you're like, man, I hope there's no broccoli. Like, I really don't want to smell broccoli. I don't want to see broccoli. And then you go to and you're just like, oh, I can't stand broccoli. You know, I really hope they don't have it. It's in your mind, and you're like so believed in like, I really don't want this. I really don't want to see broccoli. And then you go to the buffet, and it's broccoli and cheese casserole, broccoli on the pizza, broccoli everywhere is broccoli, and you're like, I didn't want any of this, but that was your mindset. That was what you were looking at. That's what you attract.
It's the energy.
Yeah,
you spent that much time and
broccoli. Effort, and it's also the belief and like the strong opinion of I don't want. But it's almost like hate and love are very powerful entities. It's yin and yang, right? Like
you have to know love to know hate.
Exactly. But they're strong emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
So
let me go down that.
Also detest is a strong emotion.
So let me go down that rabbit hole. I was
going to say, hold on. Is there? So then you go to yourself and you say, you know what? Instead of saying I don't want, you could say, you know, I could use, or I would like. Or you find yourself saying to yourself, okay, like for me, example, I want to be able to have one job. And I want it to be through my tarot, through my energy gifts. I want it to be through my gifts on helping people. I fully believe that is my purpose. She knows. You know, I was one of her clients. Hey, and now she's on the show. Woo! That we never thought that was going to happen. We didn't see any of this, but I did tarot, and I was like, okay, you know what? I have no idea how I'm going to start. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm doing. I know you need to have all the info. I need to have licenses. I need to have this. And she's like, nope, just go. And so I just went. And what I want now is, I want to feel at peace. And so I created a vision board of just things that bring me to peace and bringing myself in peace and really being, feeling myself and seeing myself in this beautiful garden where I'm just at peace and I'm fulfilled and I have cards and I've see crowds of people that I've helped and I feel the love and the care that I put into these people. And I visualize that as my success and my abundance. And now I'm not with just my business, but now I'm also at Tea and Tarot. And now, you know, I have a regular spot at Black Hog, thanks to her. I have different spots and I've branched out to different vineyards. And now I'm becoming more and more successful. I'm going to be at Paranormicon. I'm going to be at a Psychic Fest. Things are just rolling in because I put my energy into love, joy, focus of what is going to bring me the most peace.
Yeah, that's true. But you also
did the work.
You did the work, but you also were reunited with your essence.
Yes.
And I think that's super key, like that sense of self, right?
Yes.
And that's why I love human design.
And that's why knowing my 5 to 1 from you was a very big
I have
thing.
no idea what we're talking about. When
No.
we say
Yeah,
5
and I'm
to
like,
1.
I feel like I need to get
we could
into
do a whole thing on
but
human design, but
we might have to do that because I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued, but I feel like you said something to me like this last week where in regards to the podcast, like, or maybe you just said this to me over the weekend, how like doing this just brings back the nostalgia and the joy and connecting with my inner child and this does give me joy. I'm like, if I could actually make this be my full-time job, that would be amazing.
I actually texted you. I texted Vanessa one night, kind of late too. So apologies. I was like, you know what? I'm so grateful that you asked me to be your co-host. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because doing this on the days that we're doing it, it helps me break from the day-to-day routine. It helps me bring me back to joy. I'm laughing my butt off in this room with you. Other people on the outside are hearing us laughing.
Through a library, by the way.
We have a great time here, and it's just a nice break from everything that's happening outside of this room.
Absolutely.
That it's needed, not just for me, but I feel like for you too. And so from the bottom of my heart, I am grateful to definitely be here and do this.
This is literally making my dreams come true. And it's not without effort. It's not just affirmations. It took me getting over a lot of fears and apprehensions. And you know, like I always say that I can relate to Tiana in that way is that like she did a lot of hard work. It wasn't without a little bit of wishing, but it took a lot of hard work. But with her mindset, I feel like she stayed in a fixed mindset miraculously, but she really had to get into the growth mindset right at the end of the film in order to actually achieve her goals.
Yeah, because she reminded herself of what her father had, which was love and family. And she's like, you know, I want that too. And she actually was like almost going to give up her restaurant to stay a frog.
Yeah, but she was willing to do that. Yeah. Because she realized that she didn't need it.
Exactly. Like,
and that the restaurant.
That's where when Sylvia's, I think you both said something about love and hate. I was like, don't make me go down that rabbit hole because is there actually hate or is it just love versus fear?
It's fear.
You know, and I think I don't know. I absolutely loved The Princess and the Frog. I really enjoyed it. I just thought it was a well done film. It's funny, it's cute, you know, it's kind of like.
Did you cry? Because I cry.
Did I cry?
Angeline.
I probably did.
Angeline.
I cry at everything.
with Ray. Oh,
Ray.
the Shadow Man done did Ray low.
Yes. Oh my god. I loved. Yeah,
I definitely cried.
Loved all the characters and all of that. But I think Tiana really stepped into fluidity, right? Through her experience through the movie, because she was so dead set on like, if you are not this restaurant, get out of my way. You know what I mean? Nothing else was
important at all.
Nothing else was important.
What I noticed this time around watching it is in the song Dig a Little Deeper. The entire song is about growth mindset, is about having that.
Yeah.
You have to look at what you need, not what you want.
Yes.
And that's what's going to bring you success.
Yes.
And she misses the point completely and says,
I gotta work harder.
I gotta dig deeper and just work a little bit harder.
Yes.
And then she's just, everyone just deflated, like, oh.
Let's take it from the top.
And then Ray was like, let's take it from the top again.
No matter what you look like.
Important. Because when I work with people, that's what I say. I say, what would it take? Who do you have to be? What do you need in order to be there? You can't ignore that part, right? It's nice to like keep this vision in your head, right? And say, hopefully one day I want to, own my own business. Okay. But what has to be true about your life condition, about who you are, about who you're in community with, about your mindset? What has to be true in order to attract in the possibility of you accomplishing that goal? And yeah, I mean, we see that in Princess and the Frog, where Tiana's just like, yep, stay out of my way. I don't need you. I don't need this. I can't be distracted by, like, it's tunnel vision, right?
Absolutely.
But then, she's stuck as a frog. She's stuck with this, insufferable prince that she feels is insufferable.
Speaking of the prince, though, when I assigned this to you guys, I was thinking about the surface level of like they had opposing mindsets. Like she was clearly a fix, and he was a grow.
Yeah,
I don't think he was at the beginning either. I feel like he had a neutral, like non-mindset. Because
he was sort of like floating. He was like, listen, I'm going to figure it out as I go, whatever.
And I realized that about Charlotte as well. And it made me think about how your social status, because they were both wealthy and didn't need to have successes or failures.
For that survival.
They never had to try anything.
Yeah.
They never needed to succeed at anything.
Yeah.
They never had to fail.
Right.
They were just like nonchalant about everything.
And then she made him mince a mushroom.
And that's when he started to grow. He's like, will you hire me? I loved it when she said, let me talk to the owner. Owner says yes. That's my favorite. I was like, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It just, it's funny, though, because it's as soon as she loosened the grip, right? And she came to terms with it, it's just that acceptance piece of like, you know what? I might not be able to change that I'm a frog. And I'm going to have to live my life as a frog.
Right.
Okay. And she found joy in that because she found love. But and it's funny because, throughout the movie, she runs into, who's that character? That's like, this is the key, and she's like dancing around and.
Are you talking about the Shadow Man?
No, it's not the Shadow Man. It's a woman.
Oh, Mama Odie?
Mama Odie. She runs into Mama
that.
Odie and she's like, listen, this is the key. And like, and they're just like, what are you talking about? And then at the end, it's like, once she releases that grip of like, I got to change this. I got to make this better. I got to fix this. It's like, everything is open now. And
speaking of Mama Odie, I noticed back in that song, Dig a Little Deeper, you actually do see where that's the pivot point that I noticed for Naveen. That's where he started to develop his growth mindset. He starts to see Tiana. There's just a part during the song that she's just like,
and he's admiring.
He is enamored.
He's just
and he realizes that is what I need, and that's where he starts to fall in love with her and realize he doesn't care about being a frog. He doesn't care about being a human. He just wants to be with Tiana.
And he made a ring.
He made the ring. He
Yeah.
minced
He
all
made the
those
ring.
vegetables.
He minced all the veggies. He's like, here you go.
Oh my god.
She's
He
like,
got
"What?"
a bow tie, butterfly bow tie,
I didn't even notice the butterfly bow tie.
or a moth or something. When he was about to propose, it was like it was the moth or
Oh
butterfly
my
that was on
gosh.
him, and he's like, "Is the bow tie too much?" And well, it's like he's like, "Thanks, Bo." I loved it.
I will say though, there's a lot of people who they know what they want,
Oh,
but
of
they
course.
don't know who they are.
And you can't have.
And
Snap it up for that.
and you can't like and here's the thing, a lot of people will push. They will push to try to get what they
yeah.
want
Yep.
without ever even knowing who they are.
Right.
And then they find themselves, okay, I have a block. And
I
it's like,
feel
well,
like-
you don't know who you are, you don't know what your boundaries are, you don't know
Yeah.
and the boundaries is a big thing when you
went to
do
a
this.
Encanto for me with that.
Oh yeah? Okay, cool.
Take
We
it
going all
away.
over different
Sorry.
things all
Go
over
ahead.
this
What were you gonna
packet.
say? I'm sorry.
No, I think I was gonna just say that yeah, not only will you run into a block, but like now you have what you want. You're like, why aren't I happy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because maybe what you wanted was not
What you
rooted
needed.
in who you are
And
and
aligned,
what
yeah.
you truly value. Maybe it was the expectations of others. Maybe it was,
well, that's a big one.
yeah,
And
you
that-
know, how
that's
much of your dream
exactly-
is your dream?
That's what happened to me, and that's
Mm.
why.
Ooh,
when
I got chills when
Me
you said
going to
that.
school for being a teacher, I thought it was what I wanted,
Mm.
but it wasn't what I needed. It wasn't right for
Mhm.
me,
Right.
and me going to school the first time period was for me to please my parents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doing
I didn't-
forensics was to please my
I didn't
teachers.
know what I wanted to do with school,
Yep.
but I did find that I enjoyed doing psychology, and that's when I was like, oh, let me be a psych major. Let me help other people. Like I thought that was my calling, and maybe it wasn't. Like some of it was life factors, some of it was, other things. But then I thought, oh, maybe I should go to this. Maybe I should do this. I thought I found my calling so many different times.
That's also ADHD.
It just keeps evolving, honestly.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between what you actually do and what your calling is. I feel like if you sat down, right, and you were able to like track the trajectory of your entire career and all of the different jobs that you've had, there'd be patterns. There would be certain elements, a
Some
certain
highs and
quality
lows.
of the work that you do that's consistent across all of the platforms that you do it in.
For me, I think it really is teaching,
Mm.
which is why I
Yep.
felt like every job I ever did, the thing that I enjoyed the most was sharing my knowledge with other
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
training other people. And although this is very different from teaching in the traditional sense,
Yeah.
I'm still sharing my experiences and my knowledge with the people of the internet.
And I also have to say, and besides the fact that you're here, because I would say this if you weren't here, but now that you're here, it's just gonna look like I'm hyping you up, Alexis. Is when I was a client of yours doing the human design, and I was honestly I was lost, right?
Mhm.
Like I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I had a smidge of an idea of what I wanted to do. No idea of how I was going to really do it. Thought I had to do a whole bunch of other things before I could even step foot into what I
Mhm.
was doing. When I learned about my human design, it was just the biggest biggest confirmation
Yeah.
of, oh my gosh, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yes, I resonate with everything of my human design.
Yeah.
Yes, this is to my core, and it just reignited my belief within myself and with what I was going to do, and just going after it, and realizing how to talk to myself and how
Yeah.
to communicate with myself so I can go forward and do that introspective work, but also go forward with the business. So again, if anyone out there is listening and feels stuck or whatever, or you want to listen to her podcast, she's also a great coach. She's right there.
Check me out.
Okay.
Hopefully
Sorry,
by
I
the
had to
time
boost
this-
you up a little bit more.
Thanks
by
for the
time
plug.
This airs,
Thanks for the
maybe
plug.
Anthony will learn how to put the
little
like the
little
tag,
link right here.
the links or the
Right here.
little
right
name
there.
tag thingies.
But you know what? Human design is we have this phrase in human design we call wisdom potential, because human design is it's really just an internal GPS, but it's a visual of
Mhm.
like how you are made, right? It uses quantum physics, astrology, the I Ching, the chakra system. It combines all of these different modalities to show you an image of like, hey, here is your energy. Here's where it sits. Here's where it lives. Here's where your energy is defined. Here's where your energy is undefined. And therefore, that's not a bad thing. It's wisdom potential.
I
Like,
love that.
here's where you have the potential to learn and overcome. And here are the themes around that.
It's a way of evolving,
It
too.
is so freaking cool. It's
It's
so
so
cool. But like when Sylvia came to me, she knew, like, yeah, she was lost. Okay, she was lost.
I like
She
that you
wasn't-
used air quotes
She
real
wasn't
quick.
lost. She wasn't lost. She was
Scattered.
She was bombarded by the
Like overwhelmed.
unconscious side of her
Mhm.
that was only trying to protect and keep her safe. She has that energy. She has this beautiful quality about her that wants to go deep and wants to investigate and wants to know and wants to immerse before taking action. But her essence is the healer. Her essence is like the heretic. It's like the person that's supposed to be
I have
there
to do this.
it is really amazing, guys. and you know, she's coming to me and she's like, I want to do all this. I want to do herbal medicine. And I want to do tarot. And like, I feel like I need to go through a course yet. And I'm like, Sylvia, it's there. You already have it. You don't need to do anything. You need to show up. You need to show up with that essence and use the unconscious investigator to your advantage. Like, don't let it keep you
Yeah.
from the conscious essence that's already there. Like, it's dying to come out, right? Your gifts are waiting. People are waiting on your gifts. Just use it wisely. And that's why it helps to see it, right?
Yeah.
It helps to see it and helps to understand like, oh, none of this is bad. None of this is a weakness. I'm perfectly designed with everything I need in order to achieve what I'm here to do and who I'm here to be. Amazing.
Snaps.
Absolutely amazing.
That's a snap, snap, not a ding, ding.
And I watched
It's a snap, snap.
and I just watched her like totally bloom after that. It was really
the momentum
incredible.
was insane.
The momentum was out of this world.
Yeah.
Really.
I just remember hearing a voice recording like, oh my God, Sylvia, the momentum.
I
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was before I was gonna say you got me thinking about Encanto. When you were talking about having blocks. And when I watched that with this frame of mindset, I feel like almost all of the characters started off with a fixed mindset. I don't know if you've gotten to see it.
I only got through, I want to say like a quarter of it. I wanted to watch the whole
My
thing.
Disney Plus wouldn't allow another home.
But so you at least know that most of the characters, like you have all of these characters who have their gifts.
Yeah.
They have this potential, but they're so fixated on striving for perfection and this image of perfection that it ends up like harming their gifts. It ends up diminishing their gifts.
Yes.
I don't know if you got to the part where like Luisa particularly starts to lose her strength.
I saw a glimpse of that.
Yeah. And so like that's what you were reminding me of when you said that, like, you know, you can feel these blockages. And it wasn't towards the end or until the end, Mirabelle, who was probably the only person who had growth mindset and kind of helped everybody else evolve into a growth mindset, the gifts returned and came back like tenfold. So I could get I feel
she
like
was the big glue that the house needed.
She was the glue, but she was also like I love how they framed it as she was the reason it was cracking. Really, Abuela.
Yeah, it was really Abuela.
But it reframed my mind because Abuela is kind of painted as the villain of the story. And I'm like, I found myself bawling at her story because you could see where she went from having a growth mindset as a young lady to having this tragedy happen that put her into a fixed mindset of I was given a miracle out of the most tragic event of my life, and I need to make it purposeful and meaningful and I need to keep it going. And that's why she was so hard on everybody else and kind of instilled.
And that's why when you try to grip something too tight,
Yeah.
it will crack.
Which is the song, which got me. I'm gonna probably butcher the way I say it, but those Oruguitas. Am I saying that right? The song that they're singing, the song that at the river about the butterflies. Okay, anyway, the song is, the translation of it is about these two caterpillars. He's telling them not to hold on to each other too tight, that they both need to move forward and find their own way, because everybody was trying to do it Abuela's way, and that it was holding them back.
Yeah.
And
that's also a cultural thing too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we could get into the cultural part of it, but that's a whole
That's a
nother rabbit
whole
hole.
Listen, that's going to be another episode.
I feel like Encanto itself could be a whole episode, because I could talk about each of these characters and their journey arcs in
We can
depth.
definitely do it another time, but another episode.
Definitely another episode. But I just really, in the frame of mindset, I loved how, it really shows how your mindset can be influenced by your upbringing, and it's not just an inherent thing that you're born with, growth or fixed mindset.
And don't let perfectionism be a barrier. Like, perfectionism is a bitch, and it will keep you from taking any action on anything at all.
I saw your face.
Yeah, you literally gotta say good enough and then move on.
Sometimes you do.
Or just but also just recognize that, we were just talking about, it's gonna follow your gifts. It's gonna keep you playing small because you're scared of potentially failing, which you're gonna fail. That's inevitable.
But it's not really failing; it's learning.
Correct.
And
There's no such
absolutely.
thing, right? It's feedback. That's what I always say. Failure is feedback.
Absolutely.
And just the same way that emotions are an invitation to grow. But if you live according to this idea of perfectionism, and I know it well because it's been my whole life. If you grip onto that so tightly, you will do nothing. You will continue to play small and play safe. And the only way through it, unfortunately, is to just do it.
You just got to get through it.
You just got to do you got to just take action. And I did a whole episode on fear and uncertainty and our pursuit to want to know. Yeah. We want to know. We are obsessed with I have to know until I act. Before I act, I have to know as much as I can possibly know until I make a decision.
Oh,
right. And
I went through that. I went through that with this whole thing. I'm I don't know anything about podcasting. I don't know. I'm I need a co-host. No, I don't need a co-host. but then I found a co-host and it worked out beautifully.
It was we just had lunch and you're wait a minute. Co-host?
And then you're doing it, right? You're in it and you're oh my God, remember when I almost didn't do this? This is crazy.
Every week, I'm I don't know what I'm doing. You saw me today setting up and I'm I'm opening boxes.
I think our viewers also saw us today. The different mics, the different videos, everything.
Was this episode perfect? Absolutely
not. But that's what makes it perfect. You know what I mean?
What? Next time we have a guest, it might be slightly better.
I'm the guinea pig.
Thanks for being our guinea pig.
Absolutely, anytime.
I want to ask a question real quick.
Sure.
Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno, no.
Because he was in
to
isolation.
Get to that part.
What's that?
Because he was in isolation. What kind of mindset do you feel Bruno had? Because even in isolation, he was having telenovelas with the mice. He was stuck in the walls. He was still having everything. So what kind of mindset?
Let me talk about Bruno real quick, because I have so much to say about Bruno. First of all, I do feel like he is ASD, or I think he's ASD coded, for one thing. Maybe a little bit ADHD, but anyway. One of the things that I feel like he definitely has a fixed mindset. He allowed the opinions of other people to get into his mind. He even says at one point, he's my gift wasn't helping anybody, and that's why he left. And so there's this framework, this idea that if I'm not serving the people of this village, if I'm not,
then I don't have a purpose.
If I don't have, exactly. Luisa says it too. I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can't be of service.
Yeah.
You have Isabella says it, that, you know,
I'm never good enough for you.
She makes practice perfect poses, but you see the pivotal moment for her is when she makes this cactus and she says, and I mean, I when I tell you, I went in depth taking notes of this movie, when she says, you know, it's not perfect. Or it's not perfect beautiful. Or symmetric, but it's beautiful and it's mine. And that's when she realizes her own potential. It doesn't need to be perfect. And I'm like, this is where she's learning.
Yeah.
And she becomes she stops being perfect and she gets messy. She has all this different colored flower dust all over her.
Yeah.
And I love that about her. I think the only person that also had growth mindset, or people I should say, are Mirabelle's parents. Because she probably was leading with her sadness or empathy, is we see right at the beginning when Mirabelle doesn't feel like she's serving a purpose and getting ready for the ceremony. And her mom says, you know, don't overdo it. Yeah. Like you're enough, like just as you are, like you have nothing to prove. Her parents tell her that. And she's like,
you just healed me with bread and cheese.
Yeah. But as she's walking away, they told her, you have nothing to prove. And even the parents are standing up to Abuela later on in the movie when the house is cracking. They stand up to her and said, you know, you're putting too much pressure on her. And so those are the ones that have growth mindset, I feel like, the entire movie.
Now, did the family eventually all have growth mindset towards the end after the house gets together and learning to not just confirm I think go with Abuela?
We get a 3-minute song to see where their minds are now. But I think like we start shifting towards a growth mindset towards the end. I think we would have to see an Encanto too.
Yeah.
Maybe Antonio had a growth mind, the entire thing as well. The little boy
with all the animals. Yeah, I think so too.
Don't eat that. Can we talk about Dolores? She's a villain.
She is a villain. I think we did. I think we've spoken about this in past episodes.
I know, but I saw.
You're so angry about it. That's what it is.
More things again. It's like she said. He told her, not only did she gaslight her and said she's the only one worrying about the house, she said, except for the rats, she said the rats talking in the walls. She can't hear rats talking. She hears rats squeaking. So she doesn't know what they're talking about. She heard Bruno talking about the cracks in the wall. She heard him spackling it. She heard him doing all the different voices.
Telenovelas.
Hernando or
Hernando, I don't fear anything.
Sorry. And then also,
do you think she was laughing about it? Do you think she'd be the type of that would be like entertained by all the telenovelas, the different dramas of the different like characters that he had?
And then the part where the dad sees her with the vision and it's like nobody needs to know. Like the dad was like helping her, like we're gonna get to this, but we're gonna get to this after the dinner.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody needs to know. I know. And I'm gonna tell everybody. She could keep the secret about Bruno for a decade, but she couldn't keep a secret for one dinner?
You know what it is to have that kind of superpower and to know that someone is in the walls, suffering, isolated completely from family, going insane from isolation, to talk to rats, to make those telenovelas. You know what kind of person you have to be to just allow that to just continue.
She's
to
also
happen
a stalker
and ignore it. That's a bad person. I
did not see this part of the movie. But everything you're describing sounds like envy. It just sounds like envy.
She's envious of Bruno's gifts? Because all she has is hearing.
She might be envious because Bruno's the one that told her that she would never get the person that she wanted. She was, if anything.
She was spiteful.
So she was spiteful.
There you go. There you go.
No.
And then, but she
I don't mess with that kind of energy.
Do you know how many times she told us that she heard him in the walls?
5?
Vanessa is pressed. And then in
the other song, I think it was in We Don't Talk About Bruno, she's like, it's like I hear him now. It's like I hear him now. I can hear him now. She heard him singing along in the walls.
Oh no. Bruno's singing along to We Don't Talk About Bruno. Oh, Bruno.
He's like, wait, are they all talking about me?
And he's like,
I do want to point out though, back to mindset. Bruno's visions were neither positive nor negative. It was the way that their mindset interpreted
it was how they internalized what he was saying.
Because like, think about even the townspeople. He told me my fish would die the next day dead. Well,
are you feeding your fish?
Did you feed your fish? Or, I mean, what is the
Did you put it in
what
fresh
is the
water?
average lifespan of a goldfish though, guys?
It's like 2 weeks.
I mean, it's the circle of life. Everything dies eventually. Did he tell you? Like, at least you were prepared when the goldfish was gonna die, you know? And then I also was thinking about the one that says he told me I'd grow a gut. What if he meant that you would be courageous at some point, but you just thought about being...
And so then you decided I'm going to eat whatever I want.
See what too much information to do.
There has to be a deep dive.
Now I will say in tarot, there's sometimes I'm like, hey, is this going to happen? And can we know about this? And they will say no. Not right now.
Yeah.
They're like, am I supposed to? And so I'll affirm with a pendulum. I'm like, am I supposed to know this information right now? Or are they supposed to know this information right now? And they say no. Because you won't be acting accordingly into your path if you had that information.
Yes.
And I actually had someone, I felt really bad. They were asking me if someone was going to pass away. And I got a few cards and I was like, I'm not feeling that they will. And two people ended up passing away. And I asked the cards again and I reaffirmed with my pendulum, like, was I supposed to know this? They said no. Was I supposed to deliver any messages about this? They said no, that she had to figure it out on her own in order to have more self-introspective and more deeper connection with death so she can move into her next phase. And now she has more connection with death in a way that she's never had before. And she is grieving still, but she is so much more deeply connected to something that she wasn't before. And so sometimes we're not supposed to know certain things.
Right. Yeah, true. I mean, I think that's why people are hesitant, right, to get readings and
they think you see anything bad? I'm like,
to do some of this work. I would say, yeah, and I
gave both of you readings.
I think if you're going,
I loved it.
I loved it. I always do,
but I felt like it gave me insight.
I'm usually careful not to ask specific questions, right, because to your point, right, like you there's always going to be a degree of uncertainty, and that's purposeful. Like if there's not, you're not present for the actual experience that you're meant to be experiencing. You know what I mean? But
you're also not working for it.
Exactly. Like you're just like, all right, tell me what's going to happen. Like we're not predicting the future here. I mean, yes, you have gifts that are like
weird.
They are. They're eerie, guys, but like
they're oddly on point.
It's not necessarily about having the whole future figured out. It is more about like, what is the energy quality of this? Like where do I need to maybe focus my attention, or where do I need to be more present that I'm missing right now because I'm clouded by all of this fixed mindset shit, or like certain emotions that just keep you from being able to be in the energy of life and experience, So again, with the loosening of the grip, like do not hold on to anything so tightly. One of my favorite phrases in life is like, the nature of life is fluid. So there is really no room to be rigid in anything, like in mindset and, belief systems, and like just following anything too closely or being attached to anything so strongly. Like understand, like everything is going to change. It's going to ebb. It's going to flow. Like that
water.
Is just who we,
Bruce Lee.
That is who we are, and it's funny because you're like, from an astrology perspective, you are so water forward. I'm not.
I'm a double Pisces.
I mean, yeah.
I have so much water.
And I have a little bit of water, but like even with fire, right? Fire is it's ashes. It's really hot, and then it's really, subdued, and then
fire also has different heat points.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just, that's, you could look at any element that way: air, fire, earth, water. Like, the nature of life is fluid.
I know I try to stay fluid. I guess that is my Cancer water, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of. I think you did my astrology thing.
I did.
My big three.
Now-
I forgot what they were. I think it's Cancer, Pisces. I don't know.
At this moment,
So there you go.
Like at this moment, I believe Pisces is up on the north node and Virgo is on the south node. So like
Yeah.
again, right now at this time, it's all about letting go of
Yeah.
control and going with the flow. You really gotta go with the flow.
And I have been doing that.
And the more you go with the flow, the easier the waves are. Granted, they're
Yeah.
not real easy. Some of them really crash, but like, you know, you pick yourself back up. You go back on that board. You know.
Yeah.
Try again.
Yeah. Okay,
Almost
so are
made me
we
break out into song.
doing any more of
Good.
these?
That's why I do that. What did we? I think we covered a lot about growth and fixed mindset. I think we went through all the movies.
I think we went through all the movies too. I'm just looking at your
My notes, my
Yeah.
6 pages of notes that we barely looked at.
mm-hmm.
Guys, it's so organized. Like,
My dad didn't
I've
get
never
what he
seen
wanted,
thoughts
but he
more
got what he
organized.
needed.
If I can mince, you can dance. How about that? I love that line.
If I can mince, you can dance.
That was the moment that she started to step into a growth mindset for me. Him too. With Naveen and Tiana when they were
On the boat.
Yeah, it was when
Jack-
Ray was singing his song about Evangeline, and
Yeah.
no, it was before the boat when they were still in the bayou. But
And he was translating it.
yeah, and he's like, no, I don't know how to dance, and said if I can mince, dance.
I don't think she said I don't know how to dance. I think she just says I don't dance.
Well, whatever.
oh, yeah.
I don't care about her line. It was the line if I can mince. It's right here in
I don't care
quotation.
about her fixed ass mindset mind. Get out of here with that.
But if I can mince, you can dance. And that I love that is why I love that relationship the most, is that they really, you see how they influence each other both to grow in different ways.
Yep.
I
I think we finished your packet.
think we did. And I think we,
We also like ran with a lot of stuff.
there was a
Yeah,
lot
oh
of
my
stuff.
God.
There was a lot of roll.
There was a lot of brawl. I'm excited about
there
the brawl.
was a lot of ding dings in there earlier.
That's true. That's true.
It took us a while to get started. But yeah, I think this is a great place to wrap. I think next time we could talk more about Encanto, because man, do I got a lot to say about Encanto.
I want to thank Alexis for her time and for coming on in and her intellect on the matters, and also doing fun homework of watching TV. And
I'm so glad that you took time to watch
Oh my God,
some random
absolutely.
Disney movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it more.
I will. I for sure will. And I'll probably come back to you guys with some ideas. Like, can we do an episode on this?
oh
And
my
I will
gosh,
have-
yes,
Love it.
let's do that.
Let's do it.
And I will be back. No, I thank you guys so much for the work that you both do and
Thank
for both of
you.
your perspectives. I love the space that you've created. And so keep doing the good work.
And
Absolutely.
this is why I do this. Oh, I feel so touched. I think I'm gonna get emotional. I did a lot of crying watching these movies, y'all.
Yeah, I did a lot of crying watching Stitch.
I did a lot of crying watching Inside Out and Encanto.
Yeah. I also, you know what's oddly weird? I cried when she helped make the gumbo, and she gets outside and she's like, "Hey everybody, I made gumbo." And then everyone comes over. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I don't know why I cried to that. It was like that sense of community. It was like the culture differences between the two different areas, the moving from one area to the next, and like it was
It's
yeah.
what we need more of in the world right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't tell you about all the times I cried. I got to work one day and I was like, "Can you tell I was crying today?"
I actually
She's just
remember
at
you
home
asking
watching
me
Disney
that
movies.
When?
in Archie's.
Oh, I was talking about this past weekend
Oh. Well, you used to do that to me at Archie's.
when I was pregnant.
I think a little bit before too.
This
This is
possible.
dating drama.
I am a Cancer. I am very in tune with my emotions. I cry a lot. And I just let my feelings go because you know what? Sadness is an important emotion.
Hey,
y'all.
crying is a great way of releasing, and it is a great way and form of healing.
And sadness even says that in the movie to some degree. But anyway, guys, once again, thank you for joining us. I am Vanessa, Mind of Vans, joined here by Miss Alexis and Sylvia.
Hey, everybody. Well, bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. It's been real.
Has it? Has it been fixed or growthful? I have
say.
something in my contacts.
I thought you were pulling out an eyelash.
Goodbye. I think we should just do a voice, like uneven episodes with this voice.
I don't think I have that. Wait, yes, I do. Do I?
You
Do it.
definitely do.
Oh my gosh.